What is up, guys, and welcome back to another video. You're watching the ultimate breakdown of UFC 304's co-main event, Tom Aspinall versus Curtis Razor Blaydes. Yeah, that sounds better. If you guys have been tuning into the Will versus the Way Uncensored MMA podcast, yes, my podcast outside of this channel, you know that I've been saying this is for the real heavyweight belt. I believe that if you're defending your heavyweight belt, that's more important than a belt that wasn't taken from the champion in the first place. Yes, I'm talking about Jon Jones beating Ciryl Gane. Ciryl Gane was not the champion at the time, so in my opinion, they both have interim heavyweight belts because nobody beat Francis. And since Tom Aspinall beat Sergei Pavlovich, I feel like that's pretty equal to Ciryl Gane, and now he's defending it against Curtis Blaydes. Makes it the real strap. So let me know in the comments down below if you agree with that or not. But whether or not you agree with it, we're going to be breaking down Tom Aspinall versus Curtis Blaydes, two of the best heavyweights on the planet. And we're going to be taking a deep dive into their film and trying to see how this fight's going to play out by breaking down their styles, seeing how their styles compare against each other, and at the end of the video giving you guys my official prediction. If you guys want my full card UFC 304 predictions, go ahead and check out the Will vs. the Way podcast. It's the latest episode and you'll be able to see that. But if you would like to support the content, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up and leave your thoughts down below, as well as to subscribe for more of these breakdowns. We're 100% on breakdowns. We don't miss. Predictions about like 70%, but breakdowns were 100. So let me know how you guys like the video, and let's go ahead and get right into the breakdown. So starting off with the body type breakdown, to get a look at what we're dealing with here, we have Tom Aspinall standing at 6'5". That's 1 inch taller than Curtis Blaydes at 6'4". Curtis Blaydes, he pretty much every time reaches the limit of like 265, so he's a big boy. Tom Aspinall's 255. They're both huge, but there is like a 10 to 15 pound weight advantage for Curtis Blaydes. Don't think that's gonna play too much of a factor, but Curtis Blaydes is also gonna have a 2 inch reach advantage and a 2 inch leg reach advantage, so he's gonna be the longer fighter, which is weird considering that Tom Aspinall is an inch taller. But Tom, I feel like, since he uses his footwork so well and he has that very darty in and out movement with his fast 1-2s, that the reach isn't gonna play that big of a deal. However, Curtis Blaydes has been getting a lot better with his boxing. And even regardless of him getting knocked out by Sergei Pavlovich, which we're going to look at all these fights and I'll be showing you why I think he's getting better at his boxing. But going into their styles a little bit, Curtis Blaydes, we all know he's NCAA, JUCO, national champion. He's really made his career off of wrestling, whether it's in open space, on the cage. Offensively, his wrestling is amazing. And his boxing has been getting ever better. His kickboxing has been getting better. And he would probably be the heavyweight champion right now if Francis Ngannou and Derek Lewis didn't exist. I mean, this guy, the only way he's ever lost is by knockout. Now, I don't think that's something to brag about, but it's to say that nobody's ever really dominated him in a fight. Matter of fact, a lot of those fights that he fought, he was dominating the guy, and then he ended up getting caught, like in the Derek Lewis fight. So getting caught is really the only way he has ever lost. Tom Aspinall, however, this guy's the biggest mystery in the heavyweight division. All we really know from seeing his fights is that he has lightning fast hands, lightning fast feet, like he moves like a welterweight. He has good inside fighting with knees and elbows and things like that. Sometimes relies on that a little bit too much to where he'll get caught by things like jabs and crosses coming in. But his grappling is also elite level. He finishes the fight very quick as well. So that's really all we know about Tom Aspinall, because we haven't seen too much of him in the octagon, just because he finishes everyone in like under 1 round. So moving forward into their film study, so that's the style breakdown for you guys. But moving forward into their film study, that way we could break down their fights. We're going to be watching 2 to 3 fights for each of these fighters to try and see what we're looking at here. And moving into that, the first person we are going to watch film from is going to be Curtis Blaydes. And the first fight I want to watch from Curtis Blaydes is going to be his fight against Sergei Pavlovich. That was his latest loss. I think that it's just important that we get this one out of the way, because I was talking about his boxing getting a lot better, and that's talking about from the middle of his UFC career. He didn't used to have good hands. He used to just solely rely on his wrestling until he needed to rely on his boxing. and then getting his hands a lot better, I believe he became just a complete all-around fighter, at least offensively, and we're going to talk about that. But Sergei Pavlovich is very explosive, especially with the hands, and so we're going to look at what really went wrong in this fight. Good thing is all these fights end quickly, so it's not going to be too long of a video, and you're probably going to get a lot out of it. So again, if you enjoy the content, don't forget to give this video a like. So Curtis just misses a leg kick right there. He's trying to measure him with the jab. This is an overhand. As soon as he was southpaw, Pavlovich kind of leaked in with the overhand, which made him switch back to orthodox. So we can assume that he's just a lot more comfortable in orthodox. He was going to southpaw just to get reads. Oh, he landed there hard on Pavlovich. Oh, and again, two right hands, very hard on Pavlovich. Those were both accurate. He still hasn't really gotten hit yet either. That was a good jab against Pavlovich, and the cross landed. Landed another jab. Pavlovich is looking for that uppercut, but he's getting hit on the entry every time. Overhands from Pavlovich. That was a 1-2-1-2 that landed. Yeah, Curtis is very accurate with his hands, so his boxing's actually looking good. He's starting to feint. I feel like he should probably change levels right now since Sergei's just standing right in front of him, but who knows, he's gotten a lot more comfortable with his hands. Sergei's now measuring him with the jab. That 1-2 landed. That's a good low kick. Oh, that uppercut landed. Ah, and then the overhand. Another overhand. Both landed left hooks. So he's just okay to sit here and trade. Like, a lot of times you see out of wrestlers, they get hit and immediately start looking to grapple. But you can see he's very comfortable in striking. So we're not going to see many panic shots or anything like that. He's one of the best in the world. Oh, that jab stunned him. That was a sharp jab. Oh, then uppercut to the overhand from Sergei. Sergei's kind of just going berserk here. There's the shot, stuffed. That's a double leg that got stuffed. That was a good jab from Sergei. I'm a firm believer that single legs are actually a lot better to go for in MMA than double legs. Easier to get to, and they nullify striking a lot better because they're harder to defend, in my opinion. Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah, Sergei he kind of stepped in there and just started unloading. Yeah, that was beautiful. Measuring him with the jab. Curtis is already hurt here. It's that awkward uppercut that ends up landing on Curtis. Getting the jab. Steps in. Bang. Awkward uppercut into another jab. And then the overhand right there kind of turns his buckle loose. Okay, so honestly, there wasn't really many mistakes that you see from Curtis right there to really say his boxing isn't good or it hasn't gotten better. We're gonna watch his fight with Daukaus right here, and this was one of his most improved fights. This is where I really first noticed his boxing got a lot better, because right there he just got caught by some very awkward shots, but they were very straight shots that he got caught by. Wasn't looping or anything like that, and that's what Tom Aspinall is gonna provide, so that's a little worrying. But going into this, Chris Daukaus was surging at this point, lands an overhand to start. That was a good leg kick from Curtis. That was a good right hand from Chris. That was a good jab. I do think Curtis Blaydes keeps his head on the center line a little too much. That was a good one too, off of the stance switch. Southpaw into orthodox, steps in for that 1-2. That was almost Tom Aspinall-esque. That hurt Daukaus. Back to measuring him with the jab. These heavyweights, man, that fucking fight can end at any moment. Good check hook he landed. I'm just looking at him for a couple minutes, trying to measure him, almost just waiting to react, to counter. Wouldn't be surprised to see a couple more low kicks. Feinting that shot. That was a good jab, good cross. Daukaus was trying to go wide, he split it down the middle. So wide angling shots really don't work against Curtis. He keeps a high guard, and he definitely has good straight punches. Everything that's coming wide is getting blocked. He switches his stance defensively a lot. Let me show you what I mean. Every time Daukaus comes in, look at his feet. So again, Daukaus comes in, switching stance. helps you get out of the way quicker, but there's a lot of different takedown entries and stuff you can do with this, or even trips. Leon Edwards likes these style of trips, thrown across and just sweeping that front leg. There's a single leg right here. You could chain a single to a double and you can get taken down from right here. There's a lot of problems with doing this. They teach you not to do this in boxing, but he has more kickboxing footwork, I would say, with mainly using his hands and low kicks. So that's an interesting find. Again, Chris throws across. He immediately is switching stance to try and get out of the way, maybe counter from the southpaw stance. That's another reason people do that, to create more space. With a guy like Tom Aspinall though, who doesn't really like rush in with like 6-7 shots, he kind of blitzes in, that will actually leave you parallel. That's a good jab from Curtis. That'll leave your feet parallel and can be susceptible to letting you get knocked out, or at least dropped, caught off balance, or even taken down. It's tough to do against someone who's not just charging forward like this. It's good to do against someone like this. Oh, that was a good cross. See, Doctor doesn't really know how to approach him because he keeps getting tagged on the entry every time. Whether it's a jab, a cross, or one of those switch stances. See how he's able to just back up a lot. Doctor can't really reach him and then he angles out. That's all because of that switch stance defense. And he's never really off balance coming forward. He never is over committing on any of these shots. Curtis isn't. He's always underneath himself. That's good. Usually you don't see that from wrestlers, but it's also probably because he's not trying to take Daukaus down. Daukaus does have a black belt in jiu-jitsu. Maybe that's why. Round 2. But yeah. Oh, and then he splits it. That was brutal. That was beautiful. That's what we're looking for here. So he was very patient in the first round. He feints across, switches back, and once he switches back, he steps off outside of the line of fire to fire down that cross. Steps off the center line. Beautiful. One of the few times I saw him get his head off the center line, and he did it with his footwork. Beautiful. Now, before we get into his first fight with Tom Aspinall, I want to watch his fight with Almeida. That one of his latest fights was a loss.
Featured premium here at UFC 299. Jailton Almeida in yellow. This Blaydes is in black.
As I watch Jailton get more settled into heavyweight, I know he's not as big as the rest, but
his grappling has gotten worse. His wrestling has gotten worse, at least defensively for sure. And we haven't really seen his jiu-jitsu in
I don't know that
as of recent. So if we look at his past few fights, none of these went to the ground except the Jairzinho Rosa strike fight. The Tom Aspinall one didn't, Chris Daukaus didn't, Sergei didn't, and Jailton didn't. He hasn't been to the ground since 2021. That's been 3 years since he's actually had grappling time in the UFC octagon. Not saying that all his skills go away just because he hasn't done it, but
this dude looked like a 205.
He really shoots from way out. It's with a pretty good sprawl there.
But Jailton understands that he can run you to the octagon side.
From here,
he'll keep trying
to really
as Curtis keeps the underhook.
But right here, this isn't good. You see how his butt isn't sticking to the fence? You see how his leg is peeled from the fence already? Right here, I can already tell
you cannot let Almeida get his hands locked.
All Jailton needs to do is really scoop this leg and use his head to drive him.
If I'm Jailton right here, I'm starting to step left and attack a single. There it is.
That's the other way. Even trickier.
Went to the opposite side.
So actually, I don't know. Look at that.
Single.
Jailton actually lets go of the other leg.
There it is.
This side's not to fight.
Right side. Beautiful job by Jailton Almeida.
Already working his way to the back of Curtis Blaydes, at least partially.
You haven't really seen him against the cage much, but as far as just takedowns, timing takedowns, slipping into his jiu-jitsu, it's all really good.
But this is not good. This is very...
So again, he should not be waiting here. Jailton he already has, again, this same leg, his right leg, peeled from the cage. All he really has to do is maybe even give this a tap to get some weight onto this leg, lift him, and take him back down towards his back.
Very rare that you see Curtis Blaydes get hooked like this.
Especially early when he's fresh. Curtis tried to grab the top of the fence there.
He's so good at closing them off. An elite black belt in the heavyweight division.
Well, look at all the ways in which he's manipulated Curtis to this point. He took him forward, then he lifted him up in the air backwards.
He's relying on this his upper body against the cage a lot, and in doing so, all his legs are both separated from the cage. This is just foot sweep central.
Then he was able to kind of thread his leg. Now he just kicked his foot out from in front of him. It's so many different ways to return him back to the mat, and Curtis is having to keep up with all this.
Almeida hasn't lost a fight in more than 6 years. Changed his style after that last loss, made it far more grappling heavy. And he has been wicked efficient here early with his takedowns, 2 minutes in. Told us on Thursday that loss in 2018 could have derailed this whole project, fighting to his strengths ever since.
Getting into the second round, we know how that one ends.
You know, I'm not sure I agree with Almeida's corner on this in terms of the wrestling. I get it, he dominated him and he looks good. But if you don't hurt your opponent's always still going to be right in there with you. To hurt your opponent, just wrestling him is not enough.
Thank you, Dino.
Stuffs the initial shot.
Oh, looked like Blaydes maybe caught Almeida with something on the way off.
And that's how it ends. Now, the difference there is that he hit him
have to hurt your opponent. Just wrestling him is not enough.
Thanks. Shoots a hit outside double leg.
Thank you, Dino.
Stuffed by that uppercut. Gets hit by that uppercut. Drops.
Looks like Blaydes maybe caught Almeida with something on the way off.
Yeah, he probably was already out of it. Moving on, though, to the last fight I want to look at for Curtis Blaydes, his fight against Tom Aspinall, because Curtis Blaydes won this fight. It was due to injury, but he was tagging Tom Aspinall up for like the 30 seconds that it lasted. So right away, Tom Aspinall comes out hot, trying to throw a knee, and gets caught by a cross. Curtis chews up the leg and then lands a 1-2 clean on Tom Aspinall. He was keeping his head on the center line for these. Boom. Misses that one and lands a low kick. And he got connected on both of those while he threw that low kick and then hurts his knee. Not much to see other than the fact that Tom probably had the game plan to kick Curtis Blaydes' legs. Probably a good idea. And he wanted to start fast for sure. But he was getting hit. He left himself open a lot. And I think that just that fight, the way it played out and it playing in the back of his mind a little bit, he's gonna come out a little different this fight, and that's why I wanted to show you guys that. So again, it was very short, nothing really to see. So now that we have watched Curtis Blaydes fights and have broken him down a little bit, now let's go ahead and get into Curtis Blaydes' keys to victory that he's gonna need in order to win this fight against Tom Aspinall. Now right away, I think that it's gonna be imperative that he does use his jab, but I also think it's important that he stays very patient. He doesn't have to meet fire with fire right out the gate. We know Tom Aspinall a lot of times comes out hot and it's very difficult to exchange with because he's so fast, but I think that if you give time for that speed to slow down to where he's not so sparky in those first couple of rounds, that's where we haven't seen him, right? So I think key to victory number one would be to take your time and to establish your jab from Curtis Blaydes. I think that's probably the most important thing he needs to do in this fight. Second, I think that he does need to test out the wrestling defensively of Tom Aspinall. Now, I am fully aware that Tom Aspinall, actually, this might not play into Curtis Blaydes' favor if he does choose to grapple with Tom, which sounds fucking crazy, honestly, but given the fact that Gilbert Burns says Tom Aspinall might have the best jiu-jitsu in the UFC, even being a heavyweight, and this is coming from El Dorino, Gilbert Burns, that's actually kind of fucking ridiculous. And so, even if Curtis shoots, it might not play in his favor. He didn't choose to shoot against Jailton. He hasn't shot a real takedown since 2021, like we just talked about. But I think getting to a single leg, trying to drag him down, making him get back up, trying to drag him down again, because he might have the wrestling advantage over Tom Aspinall. We still don't know yet. I think it's important to test that, but establishing your jab and getting to those early single leg takedowns, maybe making him wall wrestle a little bit and trying to avoid punishment early, that's the second key to victory. And now his final and third key to victory in order to win this fight against Tom is, I think he needs to kick the legs. I think he needs to take the explosiveness away from Tom Aspinall, because everything that comes from Tom Aspinall, which we're gonna see soon, comes from his legs. Whether it's the takedowns, whether it's his fast in and out movement. If you can slow down the footwork of Tom Aspinall, the hands are going to come a lot slower. You're going to be able to see a lot more. whether it's a calf kick or a quad kick, both of those are going to be able to slow down Tom Aspinall. I think trying to kick high would be a mistake because it seems like his reaction time is very good and his counters are probably all there, since it looks like that he has a Muay Thai background as well. So I think the low kicks are probably going to be the safest kicks. I haven't really seen Curtis kick high anyway, so that's why I'm keeping it just low kicks and not saying teeps and knees and stuff as well. But I think those are the 3 keys to victory that will help Curtis Blaydes win this fight. However, moving on to Tom Aspinall, his keys to victory based off of his fights that we're going to watch, starting off with Sergei Pavlovich. Now, of course, they took this fight short notice, both of them. Tom starts off with a low calf kick, which is very good. He looks a lot more patient than he did in that Curtis Blaydes one, looking much more mature. Look how floaty he is on his feet, though. Reminds me of Cyril Gane a little bit, just how light he is on his feet. That's the new evolution of heavyweight. Just bouncing. Tries a little teep to the body of Sergei. Good calf kick again. Oh, Sergei comes in with 1, 2, 3 and catches Tom. See, he has a chin on him. Tom looks to establish that jab a little bit. Goes for a jab to a high kick. Very interesting. Leans away from those big shots. I don't agree with that. Good calf kick again. Oh my god. And then just times it. See, one thing about Sergei Pavlovich is that he wants to come forward every fucking time. Every step he takes, he's just trying to walk you down, cut you off. And Tom does a good job of timing that, stepping deep. Look how long his stance is right now. Stepping deep. 1, 2. Gets out of range. Hits him with another 1, 2 before he even falls. And then finishes him off. That is very, very high level. That's Robert Whittaker-esque. That's what I would compare him to. His striking reminds me a little bit of Robert Whittaker. However, he likes the dirty fighting a little bit more, to where he'll use knees and elbows and things like that. But that was very Robert Whittaker-esque, the way he just blitzed in like that. He took it on 2 weeks notice. He had a hurt back, didn't even train for it. That's a fucking heavyweight champion. Jesus Christ. Moving on though, let's go ahead and check out Tom Aspinall fight with Alexander Volkov, because I think this one is more telling of what we're gonna see in this fight. Volkov's a very big dude. He is known for his striking, not his grappling. And so we're seeing Tom with the game plan of, I'm probably gonna grapple with this guy. And let's see how he approaches this. So comes out southpaw, interesting. Kicks the leg. Switches back. Okay, right away, just trying to mix up the looks, give him a bunch of different looks. Very interesting. Look at, oh, lands a 1, 2, 3 right away. See that clock on his back? This motherfucker's trying to end it quick. Yes, let's just get that out there. No time, Volkan Ozdemir. That nickname went to the wrong person. No time, Tom Aspinall. Good low kick. Very glitchy, very feint heavy style. Very fast. Volkov, he's not really sure. He should just back up here. Taps him with a couple of TKD style kicks. Gets his leg kicked. Man, very glitchy. He's trying to get some commitment out of Volkov. Oh, wow. That's high level. So he's trying to get commitment. That's why he keeps kicking the legs, wanting Volkov to come in with something. Probably overcommit for this reason exactly. So switches stances. Probably looking for a cross. He does. Volkov throws a cross, but since he's off the center line, which Curtis Blaydes doesn't do too much, and Curtis does throw a lot of straight punch, he slips, gets into the body lock, and makes an easy takedown. Now watch his work on the ground. Something we haven't seen very much from him, but watch his work on the ground. Very high level. Immediately, he's going to start looking to damage. He's okay accepting the half guard, because this is a more secure position for MMA than a side control is. He is keeping this underhook. Is already starting to try and pin this near arm, which can not only enable him to pass the guard, but it just frees up his face for nasty elbows. And at heavyweight, I'm already pretty sure Volkov has some broken bones in his face from those. Still trying to pin, keeping this. He actually has an overhook now on Volkov, and because he has an overhook, right now he's putting his chest on it, trying to shut it down using these elbows. But the more Volkov starts reaching for it, he's gonna look to attack that arm. Right now he's just doing heavy damage, staying heavy on this knee shield. Everything great pinning. Volkov's trying to use his back to get to the cage, and that's where Tom Aspinall traps for this Kimura. However, right now he would have to use a lot of strength to finish it, because he has to bring this wrist all the way to over here in order to finish it. Khabib is someone who would use this, probably try and finish it, maybe even try and see if he could step over to mount and finish it. Khabib has done that before, Islam has done that before. However, Tom lets it go. Knees to the body, elbow, Jesus, mixing everything in, back to the low kicks. Gives him a little bit of room, that way he can explode again. There's that Muay Thai background that we're seeing. See him try to go for that up elbow, gets hit with a cross though. Sometimes I feel like he tries to show us too much, because he has a lot of tools in the toolbox. But I feel like the more he tries to show us, that's actually when he gets hit. Like when he tried to come out with that flying knee against Curtis Blaydes. But here we go. Another low kick, trying to get him to come in more. When he doesn't come in, then he knows he can commit to that 1-2. Side kick to the knee. Look at all the, like, just the variety of technique that he's using. Jab to the body, 1-1-2 to the head. Oh my God. This guy's high. This is why John Jones is not fighting this man. Look at this shit. He does get caught off balance here. That was a low kick. There's a body jab, and then a 1-2 as he's throwing that kick. That drops him down, but he's still coherent, still there. It was more just off balancing. Volkov is fatigued already though. Tom does start fast, but it seems like he has the gas tank to deal with it. Jesus Lord. Matrix style dodge to the lead high kick. Slips the fucking cross after baiting it. Let's break this down even more. So Volkov, not really a telegraph to this kick. Still gets dodged. And after the dodge, look at where his head's positioned. He's baiting the cross right here, hands down. He wants Volkov to throw this. And that's where he times it. Into a beautiful double leg, easy. Right into a guard, body lock passing already. Steps over into half guard. He already saw the opening for the Kimura last time. You can kind of see Volkov's arms are away from his body. Every time he starts ground and pounding, Volkov does not put his hands in. Instead, he puts them out. That separation is what Tom is looking for, and that's why he trapped it here with his head. And now he has the straight arm bar, which easily could have been turned into a Kimura. Just like that, finishes Alexander Volkov that quick. Guys, Tom Aspinall's the real fucking deal. High level in every martial art, it seems like. And I'm hoping that this one actually goes some rounds. Because if it can go some rounds, we can see a little bit more out of Tom. And I think that it'll be just a fun watch. But guys, watching that fight, looking at Tom Aspinall's keys to victory going into this fight, I think he had it right, man. Just kicking the legs like he was trying to in the first one. But I actually think he should mix in the grappling as well. Just like how he was mixing it in off the slips with Volkov, I think that was just a perfect way to approach Curtis Blaydes, because we know he's gonna return leg kicks and he's gonna throw straight punches. That's what Curtis Blaydes is gonna do with his striking if he's not grappling. So I think the first person to grapple in this is gonna have the advantage, of course, but I think mixing in the leg kicks to get Curtis to engage a lot more will be key to set up his own takedowns. Hopefully Curtis has been doing some work against the cage, because I think if Tom Aspinall gets him against the cage, I won't be surprised if Tom Aspinall has some world-class cage takedowns too. So first key to victory is to kick the legs. Second key to victory is to shoot some takedowns. Then the third key to victory I would have for Tom Aspinall is to try and keep it in the middle of the octagon, to be honest. I know I talked about him maybe having cage takedowns and whatnot, but keeping it in the middle of the octagon not only will allow for him to commit on those slips into those takedowns and have an opening for that. He'll be grappling in the open in the open octagon, which won't allow Curtis to use the cage to try and get up, but keeping it in the middle of the ring as well will enable him to use those blitz mechanics. I think if he stays on the outside rather than Curtis Blaydes staying on the outside, he'll be able to get Curtis Blaydes to fall asleep. We know Curtis likes to switch with his defense almost every single time, and in doing that, he's gonna square himself up, and that is ripe for the taking for those 3-2, 1-2 combinations. I'd say limit his combinations to a 4-piece at most, just like a 1-2, 1-2 like he did with Sergei Pavlovich. And if Tom Aspinall can do those three things, I think that, man, he's gonna take this one. And going into my final thoughts for my official prediction, I gotta go with my gut here. And even though Curtis Blaydes has been at the top for a while and has only lost by getting caught, really, by knockout, has never been dominated in his career, I think that Tom Aspinall is gonna win this fight. I think that he's young, he's good everywhere, he's extremely fast and powerful. I mean, there isn't really much that Curtis can do other than maybe like get on top of him and prove that he has no bottom game that I'm really like fearful of. I think the straight punches were landing, but I think that was also an overzealous Tom Aspinall. I think he's gonna come out a little bit more patient, probably try and keep it in the middle of the ring and look to pick Curtis Blaydes apart. Plus, there's so much on the line here. It is in Manchester. I think there's just so much riding on this. Tom Aspinall is a part of that new generation for MMA, while Curtis Blaydes has been here for a while. And while he's good and still getting better, I think he has been neglecting the grappling a bit. So whether it's by knockout or whether it's by submission, I think I'm taking Tom Aspinall on this one. It seems like he could really dictate wherever the fight goes, but I'm hoping for a good fight. I'm hoping it takes a couple of rounds, although I do think it'll be under 3 rounds for sure. So guys, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for watching. Let me know who you think is going to win in the comment section down below. And if you like this breakdown, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and leave your comments down below. And also subscribe to join the Nwadei MMA family. But with that being said, thank you for tuning in. And as always, stay safe, stay blessed. And I'll see you in the next one. Peace.